Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about cake. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. One of the most infamous quotes in history attributed to the French queen Marie Antoinette. When told her starving subjects had no bread to eat, she supposedly replied, quote, "Let them eat cake." What do you think? Was Marie Antoinette actually so out of touch as to say something so callous? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Today's word is ganache. Ganache. Ganache is a gloriously rich and silky mixture made from chocolate and cream. It can be used as a glaze, icing, sauce, or filling for pastries and, of course, cakes. By simply changing the ratio of chocolate to cream, you can make ganache that's thin enough to pour or thick enough to whip into decadent frosting or roll into chocolate truffles. The origin of ganache is actually said to be a happy accident. The story goes that in the 19th century, a French pastry apprentice accidentally knocked hot cream into a bowl of chocolate. His boss was furious and supposedly yelled, "Ganache," which was the French insult meaning imbecile or idiot. But when he saw the resulting shiny, smooth mixture, he realized his clumsy apprentice had stumbled onto something wonderful. Oddly enough, that name ganache stuck and took on a whole new meaning as it became a cornerstone of pastry kitchens around the world. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about cake. Number 1, German chocolate cake is not German at all. It's a proud American invention. You might picture German chocolate cake with layers of chocolate, coconut, and pecans coming from a cozy bakery in Bavaria, but its origins are actually in the United States. The cake is named after an American baker named Samuel German, who in 1852 developed a new type of dark baking chocolate for the Baker's Chocolate Company. The company named the product Baker's German Sweet Chocolate in his honor. For over a century, the chocolate was sold, but the cake we know and love today didn't become famous until 1957. A homemaker from Dallas, Texas, named Mrs. Clay, submitted her cake recipe to a local newspaper, and that cake recipe used German sweet chocolate. It was a massive hit, and newspapers across the country began publishing it. The possessive '(s) in Germans was soon dropped, leading to the widespread and mistaken belief that the cake had German origins. Number 2. Carrot cake really became popular worldwide thanks to rationing during World War II. Using carrots as a sweetener in cakes actually dates all the way back to the Middle Ages. During that time, sugar and other sweeteners were incredibly expensive and rare, so resourceful bakers used naturally sweet vegetables like carrots to make their desserts. Early carrot puddings were the ancestors of the cake we enjoy today. The carrot cake had its major global breakthrough during the Second World War, particularly in the United Kingdom. Due to wartime rationing, sugar was strictly limited, but carrots were plentiful and not rationed. The British Ministry of Food promoted recipes for carrot cake as a sweet treat that was easy to make with available ingredients. People were encouraged to grow their own carrots in victory gardens, making the cake an affordable and patriotic dessert that satisfied sweet cravings during a time of scarcity. Number 3. The original pound cake got its name from its incredibly simple recipe. The name pound cake is basically just literal listing of the instructions for the main ingredients. The earliest recipes for this cake, dating back to the early 1700s in Europe, called for 1 pound of flour, 1 pound of butter, 1 pound of sugar, and 1 pound of eggs. This straightforward, easy to remember formula was particularly useful in an era when many people couldn't read or write, allowing the recipe to be passed down orally from generation to generation. The simple ratio created a cake that was very dense, rich, and large, capable of feeding many people. As baking evolved, so did the pound cake. Modern recipes often adjust the pound for pound ratio to create a lighter texture, and leavening agents like baking powder or baking soda are frequently added. Variations now include flavorings like vanilla or almond extract, citrus zest, and glazes, but it all started with a simple recipe calling for a pound of each ingredient. Number 4. The multi-tiered wedding cake was inspired by a church steeple. The grand layered wedding cakes we see today owe their design to a baker's apprentice in London in the late 1700s. The baker, named Thomas Rich, fell in love with his boss's daughter and wanted to create an extravagant cake for their wedding to impress her. Looking for inspiration, he gazed out his window on Fleet Street and saw the beautiful tiered spire of St. Bride's Church. He decided to model his cake after the elegant stacked design of the church's steeple, creating the first modern multi-tiered wedding cake. His creation was a sensation and started a trend that has lasted for centuries. Before this, wedding cakes were typically single-layered fruit cakes or simple bride's pies. Rich's architectural confection set the standard for wedding cakes as the centerpiece of celebration and artistry. And our fifth and final fun fact for today, the original red velvet cake got its color from a chemical reaction, not red dye. Today, the vibrant red color of red velvet cake comes from a generous amount of red food coloring, but the original recipes from the Victorian era had a much more subtle reddish-brown hue that occurred naturally. The velvet in the name referred to its soft, smooth texture, and the red came from a simple bit of kitchen chemistry. The reaction came when acidic ingredients like buttermilk and vinegar were combined with non-Dutched natural cocoa powder. Natural cocoa powder is rich in compounds called anthocyanins, which are also found in red and purple foods like cabbage and berries. When these anthocyanins react with acid, they turn a reddish color. The modern bright red version was popularized during the Great Depression by the Adams Extract Company as a clever marketing tactic to sell more of its red food coloring. Now for some news you can use. Want to bake a perfectly moist and delicious cake every time? The secret is to understand that while yes, baking is a culinary art, it's also a science. Here are a couple little things that can make a big difference. First, use room temperature ingredients. This means taking your eggs, butter, and milk out of the fridge about an hour before you start baking. When these ingredients are at room temperature, they form an emulsion which traps air. As the cake bakes, that trapped air expands, resulting in a light, fluffy, and evenly baked cake. Cold butter can't blend smoothly with sugar, and cold eggs can cause the batter to curdle, leading to a dense and heavy texture. Second, be careful not to overmix your batter once you add the flour. As soon as flour mixes with liquid, it starts to develop gluten, the protein that gives bread its chewy structure. While gluten is great for a loaf of sourdough, it's the enemy of a tender cake. Mix your dry and wet ingredients only until they're combined. A few small lumps are perfectly fine. Overmixing overdevelops gluten, resulting in a tough, rubbery, and dry cake. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked if Marie Antoinette actually said, "Let them eat cake," when she heard that people were starving with no bread to eat. The truth is, that's a fallacy. Poor Marie Antoinette has been misquoted for centuries. There is no historical evidence that she ever uttered these words. The phrase actually appeared years earlier in the writings of the philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau in his book Confessions. He wrote about a, quote, great princess who said it, but he wrote this when Marie was just a child living in Austria, long before she came to France and became queen. The original French phrase actually would translate more to "let them eat brioche." Brioche being a rich bread made with eggs and butter, so it was still an out-of-touch sentiment, but the phrase was likely a piece of political propaganda attributed to Marie Antoinette by revolutionaries to fuel public anger against the monarchy and portray her as a frivolous and heartless queen. While being misquoted was certainly not Marie Antoinette's biggest problem, it is always worth recognizing the truth where we can find it, and the whole "let them eat cake" thing would appear to be nothing but historical fiction and a bit of a smear campaign. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about cake with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.